Hey there, this is Tara Sage of Tara Sage Coaching and Nomadic Living 101.com, devoted to helping you create a life and business that you don't need a vacation from. And today I want to share with you a unique experience I had while leading a seminar at the Florida RV Supershow in Tampa. So the exchange happened during the Q&A portion of the talk. Just to paint the picture for you a bit, the seminar was 1 hour long. It began with me giving a 20-minute or so talk, and then the remainder of the time was devoted to the Q&A. Hi. So on this particular day during the Q&A, a young woman in the audience, she raised her hand and asked about our exit strategy and retirement plan. Okay, so this was an interesting question, especially given that my speech had been filled with stories and sentiments about how much Carl and I love the nomadic lifestyle and see no end in sight to living this way. So the Q&A exchange with her went like this. She asked, Tara, what's your exit strategy? Like, what about retirement? What's your retirement plan? Now, this was just one of many questions that we received during the Q&A. We answered questions like, how do you get your mail? And how long do you generally stay in one place and why? And we were asked for downsizing advice and why we chose the RV that we did, and so many more questions. But again, her question was, what's your exit strategy? What about retirement? What's your retirement plan? Okay, so I was immediately clear. It was clear to me, at least, that her question was much broader and deeper than presented at like the surface level. But so as not to be presumptuous, I decided to begin by approaching her question literally. So this was my reply, okay? I said to her, first of all, good question. I shared earlier that Carl is a remote working corporate employee. He has a 401k through his company, and for over 14 years now, I've been an entrepreneur with my own company. I rolled an old 401k that I had from an old job before I started my business into an IRA, and I contribute to it every year. So I said, does that answer your question? And she replied saying, no, I mean, when you retire, are you going to buy a house and settle down? Like, what's your plan for that? I assume you'll be buying a house and settling down at some point, right? So I said to her, okay, got it. So let me first start by responding to the energy of your question. And I told her, I want you to know that I so appreciate you asking this, because I fully understand that it can be confusing for others to imagine a lifestyle that goes against what's typical or considered normal, right? Who can relate? So what Carl and I are doing breaks the mold on what's expected or traditional. So again, I told her I so appreciate her question, and that I definitely hear and appreciate where she's coming from. Then I went on. Now stay with me on this story. Then I went on. I told her, I've owned property in the past, and I have since sold it. And as I shared earlier in the speech, Carl and I love this lifestyle, and we see no end in sight to nomadic living. So we don't currently have any plans to buy property or to live in one place anytime soon. Now, prior to the Q&A portion, in my speech, I shared how Carl and I had gone about making the decision to let our lease expire and to embark on a nomadic living experiment. And in the story, I had explained that this left us just 60 days to downsize, to get ourselves into an RV and on the road. So, responding to this woman, I went on to say, now, if Carl and I were to decide that we want to return to a house or apartment living, I have no doubt that we could reverse engineer what we've done, okay? And I said to her, I bet we could even do it in 60 days again. We could sell the RV and get an apartment pretty quickly. So I asked her, does that answer your question? Clearly, it didn't. She replied, are you going to die on the side of the road in an RV? Word for word, that was her question. So, a quick aside here. Throughout the Q&A, people in the audience had been reminding me to please repeat each question before I started answering it. So it was a big room, there were 200 plus people, and I had the mic, okay? So I repeated the question. Am I going to die on the side of the road in an RV? I said with a smile, okay? Now, this got a lot of nervous laughter, and I paused for a moment just to ground myself before I spoke. And then I said, okay, so I'm really not picking on you. I am fully aware that my lifestyle makes other people feel uncomfortable. It is entirely possible that I will travel and explore for as long as I live, and that I may never again live in a house. I don't know this for sure, and I don't need to know this now, because if something changes, I can always shift things then and adjust. So I asked her, make sense? Seeming somewhat relieved, her reply, I kid you not, was, okay, so you will settle down at some point and buy a house. Slowly, with a big smile, I said, is that what you heard me say? And the room filled with laughter. Now, I reiterated to her that as radical and as confusing as it may seem, I have discovered for myself that living in one place is not something I need in order to feel grounded and at peace with my life. In fact, I am more settled now than I ever have been because I'm living the truth of what my heart desires. And this got some cheers and woots and clapping, which was fun. So I thanked her for her question, and then I moved on to the next question. All right, so here is my tip from Tara for you today. The big lesson here has nothing to do with nomadic living and everything to do with human nature and how we tend to respond to things that make us feel uncomfortable. Sometimes people don't actually want to hear the answer to a question, even if they are the one answering, or should I say asking the question, right? They don't want to hear the answer to the question, even sometimes as the one asking the question. Sometimes we're just not able to hear and receive the answer because our own resistance and fears are blocking us from hearing it. We have all been guilty of only wanting answers that stay within our comfort zone, answers that keep us feeling safe and help us maintain our current understanding of the world, right? We can all admit that. So I truly applaud her for asking and for being willing to be seen and witnessed in a state of genuine, head scratching, I just don't get it, confusion. Love it, yeah. So it's a vulnerable place to be when you're in that state. And by asking, she bravely put herself in a position to be on the cusp of a potential breakthrough, right? So in this way, confusion is good news because it sets the stage for a breakthrough and new levels of understanding. Now, I suspect, and I certainly hope, that this was the case for her. Okay? I believe that everyone laughed because on some level they could relate to feeling that awkward confusion and that kind of mind scramble moment, right? It was honest. Her confusion was genuine. And it was an extraordinary example of something that we are all capable of. A deep-seated resistance to changing our thinking. Right? So thoughts are things. Ultimately, taking responsibility for your life means taking responsibility for your thoughts. And expanding your thinking will expand your understanding of other people, of the world, and also about what's possible for you. So, if you want to change something about your life, change your thoughts. It sounds cliche, I know, but the truth with a capital T is that if you continue to hold on to old limiting beliefs and hold firm to that comfort zone, then that will be the truth that you live from and create from. Make sense? And truly, the magic happens when you allow yourself to expand into new possibilities and ideas, and when you take actions that align with this and support it. Okay? All right, so if you are curious and you want to be keyed into what we have learned through our nomadic living experiment, I invite you to claim a copy of my book, 10 Things RV Dealerships Don't Tell You About Nomadic Living. You can download 3 chapters for free at nomadicliving101.com. If you decide you would like the full book, it is $4.95 for all 10 things that RV dealerships don't tell you about nomadic living. So again, that website to go to is nomadicliving101.com. Okay? So that was a mouthful. That story was really something else, and I couldn't wait to share it with you. There are so many juicy nuggets in that, so many lessons to be learned from it. So did you like this video? If so, I see some. Thanks for the love. Love it. Awesome. Keeping a smile on my face. So comment, share it with your friends, and be sure to come on over and visit my website for more tips from Tara and other resources to help you create a life and business that you don't need a vacation from. So thanks for connecting, and until next time, bye for now.